I'm going to talk about myself a little bit more than I normally do. Just because I'm a Leo doesn't mean, I'm all about pay attention to me. And I have a very balanced Libra rising, which is all about making sure everybody's taken care of. Like, the interesting thing about rising signs and sun signs is like, this is the outward projection people assume of me is one thing. I can't say what people see. But my rising sign is the making sure everybody's taken care of. Like, sometimes to a fault. And I learned over these past years where I was compromising my own self and over giving, and it was something of a trauma response that I had to face. My life has been a testimony, right? So we say, and these are things I've heard from Anthony Robbins during Date with Destiny many years ago. Your test becomes your testimony. Your mess becomes your message. That when you're ready to break down, that means you're about ready to have a breakthrough. Like, never give up before the miracle, because the reality is you're everything you need. All your messages, everything that you seek outside of you shows up because of what's inside of you. Like, the things that you admire in another person are really in you too. So owning that in yourself, we're real humble, aren't we? We're very hypercritical. Like, I have a Capricorn moon. So I am hypercritical of myself. I am my own worst inner critic. So my mind will be, if I allow it, the worst in the sense of stories of what people can come up with about me. And I have played the victim. So I have to own that. So you spot it, you got it. And all the things about being the perpetrator or the victim, we've all played the roles in life, this life and past lives. I was having some beautiful conversations with James. And I love connections. I love the way the universe brings us together the way it has. Because my life has been demonstrably orchestrated. I know there's a puppet master up there, but I think of it as my oversoul. I think of it as the extended portion of my being, my essence. So with that said, these bodies can only inhabit, hey there, James, speaking of the Merlin, the wizard himself, right? These bodies can only inhabit so much energy. Always remember that. So it's very important that, again, this temple that we inhabit, that we take the best care of it that we can. It's been my life lesson. Like, my whole life has been guided by my body. That whenever major transitions and things have come to surface, it's been because I had a physical crisis. So me speaking from a position of listen to your body, because it's a tattletale on your mind, has all been the test, the mess, has been my life. My story is in the message. The message is the story. That essentially, I had a cervical spine injury that I could not move. Couldn't turn my head to the left or the right. Couldn't sleep on my left side. I had so much nerve pain down my arm. And I'm still driving a car on cobblestone roads in Naples, Italy to go to work. Because my mindset is, if I can work, why wouldn't I? Because my constitution, my integrity is I can still show up and do it. I never questioned handicap. I didn't want to be called. And that's an interesting dynamic, isn't it? That's part of the conditioning and the programming. We don't want to be called handicapped. We don't want to be told we have any type of label, because that limits us, and it's like shame. It's a shame game. So I never wanted to go out and never thought about, I was paying for disability. I was paying for short-term and long-term disability, and not once considered to lighten up on myself and take a break, because nobody suggested it to me. Nobody thought about reminding me that, hey, why don't you just take some of your time off. I didn't think I had much time to take off. And in my mind as a single woman, I thought I got to work and take care of myself because that's how I was raised, right? Got to go to work. In hindsight, now the lesson was learned because it took the physical ailment to get so bad that the toxic work environment is what really set it off. That it didn't matter that I had a physical impairment or disability, but it was an easy trick to get rid of me too. I mean, technically, I could have had a lawsuit against the company if you really want to get technical. But I didn't know that back then either. And you know how hard it is to get people to support you and lawyers to say, yeah, I'll take that case, especially when government's involved, because there's a lot of stuff, there are a lot of moving parts and all that. So I, in my life, chalked it up and I put on my big girl panties and I came back to the States and got blacklisted. So I've had that conversation. If you've been following me long enough, you've heard the story. I'm not here to rehash that. What I'm sharing is every time something major has happened in my life, my body has been my tattletale. At that time, hitting my head, cervical spine, nerve pain, I wasn't even putting myself a priority first. I wasn't even making myself a priority back then. And it took that to wake me up. Yeah, it was easier for me at that time to focus on work being the problem. Make them the perpetrator, me the victim. But do you know we choose to be the victim? I have to own that. And I own that, and I'm sharing that story as a form of empowerment, not as disempowerment. But yes, it was a shitty situation that transpired, but it was realizing that I needed to put my own health first, that my body was telling on my mind. What my mind wanted to pursue, finding another work somewhere else, trying to, keep pushing and trudging along because that's what we're taught, we're conditioned. But something's not right there, and your body's telling on it the whole time. The second major health crisis I had not long after that, 2008 was when I lost that job. That was 2008, remember that. That was in February 2008, I know it well. In 2010, funny enough, in February, is when I just had all of my dental work replaced. Took all the metal out of my mouth. I only had like 2.5 or 3 fillings that were mercury. But after having that taken out and done the detox, the cleansing, in 2010, my body, hey Mish, my body was screaming and saying, we have an emergency here. And it was a reaction to the gluten. And it was a buildup because people forget. Food allergies and sensitivities, now it probably had a lot to do with my implants too, because that, I didn't know during all that time, for 23 years, my immune system was completely compromised. So go figure that I had so many health issues, so much chronic pain, because the biggest shield I had on was my heart and my lungs. What a relief to get that shit out of my body, I can tell you that right now. But that reaction set me on the path of raw vegan. Now, the world has been crazy for a long time, and I've known since I was a little girl. We're going to get to that. Because of the food sensitivities, I decided to embark upon this path of raw vegan. And I truly enjoyed it and found it fascinating because psychologically and spiritually and the way the universe aligns, I used to always tell you, I'm never giving up. Never is the operative word. I'm never giving up my filet mignon and my real butter. Those are my 2 loves in the world for food. You got a food addiction? Those are my faves. The universe only hears, I will give up. So that was the comical universal joke on me. Okay, so for a period of my life, I decided to give up all that stuff, right? Prior to all of that happening, though, was when they started raiding farmers and they were trying to sell raw products. The way that, when we were kids, used to have the doorman dropped off the glass bottles of raw milk and butter and real cream. These days, all your food is denatured. It is radiated. Basically, your food's getting chemo before you get it. Think about that for a second. Do you know how much they've used food to divide us and all of these tactics? Your body's telling on it. So I did this for a long time, and I was so passionate about it. I bought books, and now I understand why so many of the people fell off of the raw vegan lifestyle. Because it's not really 100% meant to be a lifestyle. And I'm not saying it doesn't work for everybody or somebody or what have you. I'm not here to poo-poo on anything. I just want to share my story because I think it's important. You have to intuitively listen to your body when it's telling you need something. Pay attention to your brain. How's your cognitive functioning? Are you remembering things? How about how grounded you are? There is medicine in food. And yes, in meat too. There's a reverence. There was a time. Look at the indigenous, okay? There is a ritual around blessing your food, being grateful to the animals for that nourishment, that sustenance it gives you. And there's medicine in the sound, in the feeling of that essence of that being that has been given to you, that sacrifice they make for us. Because we are in a symbiotic with nature. And I do believe this. With that said, we didn't eat as much meat at our meals when I was a kid. And I don't do bird, okay? That right there. I'm very cautious about how much I put in my body, and it's not a lot. You don't really need that much to give you nourishment and nutrients. So, yeah. You may need it once a week. You may need it a couple times a week. But I'm imploring people out there to recognize you're more submissive and more willing to, spirituality, la la la, be all airy-fairy and not grounded in the earth. So that message came through to me loud and clear years ago when I first came back from Italy the second time. In 2013, I was sitting at the yoga studio and the message was, it's so obvious, but really, you incarnated in this physical body to be in it, not be trying to escape it. A lot of people, especially in the spiritual community, let me tether you back down to the earth. I love you that much to recognize your escapism. We all do it. We've all been there. I spot it because I got it. I've been there and I've done it. So that was 2010 when I went on that journey, and I've been on it off and on over the years. I didn't start really adding the meat. I actually did, after a period of time, try some meat in there. 2018, when I went to my niece's wedding, I thought, you know what, let me see how it makes me feel. I could feel the meat coursing in my veins. I am an O positive. Like, for me, it's a pick-me-up. I have a very high metabolism. So I remember some of my ex-boyfriends used to be like, we need to put some meat in her because she's about to get hangry around here. So I have a healthy metabolism. I have a healthy diet. And when I feel the need, I don't need to excuse myself or explain myself. But I want the most pure, unadulterated food that I can put in my body. Hence why I speak about be very cautious about the things that you're choosing to place in your body. This is a temple. And your temple is always telling on you. So when something is off in the body, it's because it's starting in the mind, a belief system. Like I said, I was working myself to the bone, literally, because I wasn't putting my health and myself as a priority. And so I've had to learn that lesson over and over and over and over again. And I'm telling this story because every single major crisis in my life has pretty much come down to my physical ailments and them speaking out on my behalf. And if I don't listen, I'm the only one to blame, right? Yes, O positive, O bloods tend to need meat. Maybe some others don't. And that's okay. We humans are here to enjoy this life, not to let life consume us. Again, bring the play back, right? Bring the play back. Animals know. And I have a huge reverence for the animals. And I am the animal whisperer. I'm over here talking to the birds and the bees. I got a whole shipment of ladybugs the other day. You never saw a person so happy. I got ladybugs in my house. I have some in the fridge because I didn't want to let them all out because we have a full moon coming up. I got new plants. I went for 2 pink trumpets and I came home with 2 pink trumpets, 2 rose bushes, and I'm really proud about this one. The fruit salad, Monstera Deliciosa. Have you heard about this plant? Oh my gosh. I saw a video not that long ago and the woman had it. I was like, it's got this conical. Yes, conical. You heard me. The fruit is a phallus. Essentially, you got to wait for it to fall off. I'm sorry, this is getting too dirty, right? Anyway, you're supposed to allow it to ripen on its own because the fruit savor, the flavors, the way the guy described it was like pineapple turns into banana, turns into strawberries. And I'm like, ooh, I got to try this. And sure enough, I meet a woman the other day and there it is right there for the picking and I brought it home. So I'm super excited about that. I love my fruit. Ain't nobody gonna keep me from my fruit or trees because I was a tree climber back in the day. Okay, so we've talked about 2008 when I lost my job and that was because of my health. 2010 was the major health crisis that led me on the raw vegan path. And I'm really proud of that path because I got to play in an amazing space. And especially because I learned about food combining, which doesn't matter if you are raw vegan or not. And the thing is people forget these different categories of eating. Cleansing. Your body needs breaks. There are times you need to take a break. You need to intuitively listen to the vessel because the only way you're going to get your intuition is through a very tuned up and tip-top shape body because this is the real guidance system right here. Everything you need right here. Hello. So let's see, when was the next health crisis? Let me think about this for a second because I hadn't actually considered this whole path. Dental. I hadn't been sick for all those years either, by the way. Kept myself pretty clean. I even lived in Italy and did this whole thing. And I was so proud of myself and trying to share it with people. Then I realized, you know what? We're not here to change other people. Like that was a huge one with power versus force. You're not loving someone if you're telling them how they should be. Most people think, if I can fix you, it's unconscious most of the time too. I think I know better for another person. Most people don't know better for themselves. Can we get honest? You're trying to give advice and trying to fix and change other people and you haven't got your shit together? Please. I was one of those. I'm recovering. Now I'm just like sitting here going, if you want information, you can ask me, but I'm always willing to give. But I'm not going to waste my time giving if it's not received, right? So I see messages coming through here. Let's say, oh, Mish and Cheryl Ann, it's so good to see you all. Yes. You really need to listen within because everything's going to show up on the outside anyway because you are what you eat. And what you consume consumes you, right? So this is important. Hope you're taking copious notes, as my dad would say. I'm in prime form tonight, and this started last night because I went to bed thinking about how much I've held back and how much I have been in fear of writing my book because of the people it will basically put out there as a spotlight. They're not going to like it. But that's okay. Names will be changed because I probably don't remember half of them anyway. But anyway, the next major health crisis would probably be the appendectomy. And that was when I was in the narcissistic relationship. The one I got into that I couldn't figure out how I got there and how the hell to get out without help. My workout plays. Yeah, right. Exactly. This is my life. So I teach from my personal experience. So anybody who's ever been on my channel, anything you hear me talk about is coming from my personal experience. I'm not here to tell you something I read about in a book. I'm here to tell you from my personal experience. And it's the learning the language. Yes, the language the body is speaking is designed for you and to grab your attention. Because everybody can see your shit because it's usually their own shit too. And that's really what it boils down to. Thinking we know better for another person is our denial of for ourselves. And in a lot of cases, if you do know for yourself and you do own for yourself and you recognize your own faults, you'll see all of it in everybody else too. So there's a hypersensitivity there. The question is how conscious and aware of it you are. You can say you're an empath, you're this, you're that. The reality is everybody wants significance, to be seen. And there's nothing wrong with that. But how healthy is it? And how do you attract it? How do you express it? How do you ask for it? How do you receive it? Like when you're having a conversation with somebody, can you actually allow that person to speak and finish before you're afraid that you're going to forget, or you cut them off because you're thinking in your head, but you're not really present to what they're saying? Like, are you waiting to respond, or are you actually listening to hear what is being said? That is humbling. And I learned that lesson a long time ago too. It's like, whoa, slow down. There's something we say in Beyond Addiction, and I absolutely love this statement, because everybody's so caught up in this go, 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 run, 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 prove yourself, this chronic stress response. The one that says I can't stay still because I have to be doing something to prove that I'm worthy of love, affection, or attention. Everyone take a deep breath with me, because I know I'm doing it right now too. Okay. Stay before you go. Slow down. If there's a message I could tell anybody out there, because yeah, something's not right, slow down and be present to it, because you'll feel it. Trust it. Don't run from it. Don't run from anything. Just be present. Do you know the more you sit with what is, the more you enhance and you create the courage within to be okay with what's not okay? Because a lot of us are in situations, I'm just going to say in a general sense, not myself, not specifically me. I'm in a good place. I'm in a really good place right now. A lot of people in the world are in unhealthy circumstances, situations, because they're familiar. And as we say in the addictive community, when the grooves of habituation, because it's familiar and because we like things to be predictable and controllable. At least in our minds, we think we're controlling it. But in reality, we're not. We have no control over anything. The deeper the groove, the harder to move. Wow. This is what's dropping in right now, okay? How do I know? Been there. Because sometimes you just don't know. It's like analysis paralysis. Your mind says, I should go. Your body is telling you, get the fuck out. But are you really, really listening? And how are you going to respond? when push comes to shove, when you hit your breaking point, and everybody has one, like right now in the world, some people have actually had to get to this point at where we are in the world. And it breaks my heart because I see it. I've been seeing it for a long time. I don't like saying I was right. I don't like saying, told you so. And I'm not that person. Because I have compassion. Because of the tolerance. And it's unsufferable tolerance. That is the addictive, codependent tolerance that you keep putting up with. Whether it's in a relationship, it's all relationship because life is relationship. And essentially what you tolerate is what you're teaching others to do to you too. So what we're seeing in the world, the unsufferable intolerance, is that people finally wake up and go, and how long have you known something doesn't feel right? It's like here in Florida yesterday. I don't know how many people I turned to, and the winds here, totally abnormal. Not normal for Florida, and definitely those particular winds yesterday, we were all looking at each other like, this is not normal. And when somebody's looking at you and you're going, it's not normal, we are saying it's not normal intuitively. We feel that. We know that's not nature. That's the difference. Because you can feel nature, and you can feel when it's not nature. That's my point. And so I'm bringing this up because the dreams that I had last night and my appendicitis is what woke me up to kick out the individual that was in my home, that I had allowed to live in my space, that I took on this motherly role of like, well, what will happen to them? I mean, really, I couldn't even believe my mind was trying to put a whole responsibility for someone else, like as if I had this person as a child. I had a man-child in my house. I actually caught myself like talking about like, well, what will happen to them? Like I was worried about their safety. He's a fucking man. He'll be okay. Funny thing is right up the street is a homeless shelter that takes care of veterans. So, you know, he quickly got taken care of. And if it wasn't for me, he's probably on his 100% disability with the VA as a result of my help and my guidance. As much as he would say to me, because my pay and everything that I was making over the years with him living with me, I was paying for everything. And he had the audacity to act like disability was a bad thing. And I looked at him like, motherfucker, it's paying for your living, you know. Anyway. Sometimes we got to shake that off because the nervous system, you know, this is why we do tension and relaxation, release. Like sometimes tensing it up because you don't realize how hard you're holding on to something energetically. Like you see physiologically, yeah, that shit pissed me off. I'm a Leo. I'm very dramatic if you couldn't tell. I'm all about the show. But I'm also a big pussycat when it really comes down to it. I have a huge heart. This loyal heart will take care of you. But you cross me and you're out, sayonara, because there ain't no coming back. I'm that easy. Not really. And I'm very, very big mama, protective of my family. So, and that was another thing in that relationship. Him trying to pit me against my family. I'm like, dude, that is a code you can't break. And just because your family's fucked up doesn't mean you try to play that game with me. So anyway, that was huge because the appendicitis, and see, when you look up the meanings of these ailments, appendicitis is when you have such deep disgust for a situation or person. Now, I did have a lot of deep disgust for that person, but also for myself, because that's what I had to own. It's never about the other person. You can think in the victim mindset, but it's you choosing to allow that into your space. And so when I teach from this perspective of knowing what narcissism is like, and I can spot it a mile away now, I can spot a lot of different flags that my friends are like, how do you see that? Like, because I don't have time to waste. And I'm not here to create a story around something or somebody just to make myself feel better for them. The reality is I want to see things as they are and stop wasting time instead of this pussyfooting around, beating around the bush. I have friends who don't like directness, and I'm like, oh, my heart goes out to you. You know why? That must be exhausting. I feel so invigorated, right? Like I have more energy than anything when I don't live a lie. I can't imagine having to keep up with the story, reminding yourself to tell that story, unless you've convinced yourself that's your story. Like you can rewrite your story, but you have to first acknowledge it and heal from it. Like really, again, this is my moniker is the feel it to reveal it to heal it. You got to reveal it. And the feeling is what's revealing. Any trigger that you have means you've still got work to do. I still get triggered all the time. And so the latest physical thing that came up to surface, like I've had chronic pain, back pain, shoulder pains, and I knew it was related to my breast implants. It started to connect. I was in groups on Facebook. I was in all these breast implant, toxicity for years, never stopping and connecting the dots with my own. For 23 years, I've had, toxic sacs in my body. First it was saline and then it was silicone. And the funny thing is people are like, oh, saline's okay because it'll absorb into your body. Have you seen these things? They hold them up and there's mold growing in them. People think saline is just salt water. It's not. It's not. I love that positive. I love that. That's so adorable. I'm an animal lover. The lion in me says, because I'm a big cat. And I'm a softie. Stroke me the right way. I can be your best friend. Cross me. That's a whole nother conversation that I don't even waste my energy on. I'm not even in that space. Like back in the day, I could hold a grudge. These days, that's exhausting. Holding a grudge, that's another story that holds on to, like that creates its own toxicity in your body. I don't have time for that. If you're not authentic, if you're not owning integrous with yourself, your being, we're here to be fully, authentically who we are. Be your best you, whatever that is. Even if you can be an asshole, be your best asshole. I've been that. I mean, we're here to play. And if you really think about it, a lot of adults have forgotten that their inner child just wants to get out and play with other humans. Like today I go to stop by Serenity now because I needed some new candles. And I see Brookie and she's adorable. My inner child, this is how we greet each other. We're like, ah. And we're like, literally, we're like, my inner child, so happy to see your inner child. Like we have that little dance. I have friends like that. And when I hug you, I will say, shake your tail feathers. Because that's a little joke between me and my sister. Shake the moneymaker, essentially. So I really wanted to share a little bit about myself on top of all that craziness that my body has been my biggest teacher. And that's what I teach from. Like I've been in the wellness industry all of my life. I've been a runner, physically and emotionally. I learned because of my running, my chronic stress, back in the day, as I just expressed, that I was a workaholic and that my health didn't come first until I couldn't not choose it first. So because I learned from my experience, that's what I teach from. I share the wisdom of my own experience, my own body, because I have been down to the depths of what feel like hell sometimes. Like I wouldn't wish the physical excruciating pain that I've experienced with the neck injury, with the appendicitis, I wouldn't wish any of this on anybody. I didn't know I would even make it through. When I hit my head, I couldn't turn my head. I couldn't sleep on my left side for months. I was in such excruciating nerve pain. I was on gabapentin and Neurontin, and I saw how that medication made me feel. It gave me anxiety. Every 8 hours, you're supposed to take it. Every 8 hours, as I got to that point, and I hadn't read the pamphlet until later to learn that it's non-narcotic with narcotic-like effects. Hence, I was observing myself going through this weird anxiety, like what the hell? That things would literally get under my skin, that I would be frustrated in it. And now I didn't act on that, but it was interesting to observe because I've always had that meditative mind, because I've always preferred to have my cognition. I don't like not feeling myself. With the exception of mushrooms and some like San Pedro, I've done ayahuasca and all that stuff, and Bufo blew my mind. I am a psychonaut, as they would say, but you know why? Here's a little tidbit from the Bible they don't tell you. Eve ate the fruit of the tree. Do you know what fruit that was? It wasn't an apple. It was the mushroom growing on the tree. That was the real tree of knowledge. That's the wisdom they don't teach you. And I don't know that anybody else has actually said it, but here I am telling you. Since I was a little girl, my connection to Source has always been very strong. Never doubted it. Didn't always listen to it. Kicked myself when I'm like, I knew better. I had a feeling. I knew something wasn't right. All my freaking life. My intuition has always been spot on. My dreams, off the charts. Prophetic, for sure. I had to put it off to the side because I had boyfriends that just did not want to hear it. They did not like it. They especially didn't like it when I would tell them things about themselves. And they're like, don't tell me, I don't want to know. It blew my mind, the ones that didn't want to know. Then I had a couple that were kind of cool about it, and they liked it. They could connect to it. They could relate to that. I had some really good relationships on that. Fast forward to today. Okay. Some people know. I had a beautiful conversation with a young woman that is a friend of mine. And I appreciate her because she listened to what I had. And you know, I have people that come to me and they ask me for what wisdom, what themes, what I feel is coming for this year. And I've already spoken in my past videos that I have expressed that the veil, the spell has been broken. I really believe that. The spell has been broken. And the reason I say that is because I see so many people coming to their breaking point. So many people waking up to something's not right. And they're actually listening. Yeah, don't want to hear it. The ego is the one that speaks. Because it doesn't want to hear what it doesn't, what would be conflicting, right? The ego wants, the head wants to be right. The heart just wants to be happy. And the heart will accept whatever with happiness too. Sometimes, you know, we think it's our heart and it's really our head. That's how tricky and how clever the mind can be, is it can overwrite your own chemistry, your own body. And so this is where if you're not listening, you could be the one creating your own chemical disaster, right? The shitstorm, as we say. And I really believe all disease begins in the mind. And the reason I say that is from my personal experience, the more miserable I was, the more toxic, the more acidic, my body didn't feel good. Achy joints, all that stuff. And I tune into that. The spine is the foundation of your belief system. If your spine is really rigid, check in with your belief systems. Are you really dogmatic? This is where I'm going to, okay, so yes, bringing up my body workshop, my body awareness workshop. I almost feel like that could be a couple. This is what I teach in my workshop, is essentially all these different aspects of the body will tell on the mind because they're all connected. Everything is connected. Mind, body, spirit, breath, soul. So as I was saying before, Our souls cannot inhabit this entire body. So we have to create the space, which is what the breath is all about. The spirit creates the expansiveness. So the more space you create, the more you get rid of, the more it can inhabit. That's how I've always interpreted it. And you can tap into your own wisdom, and you may think it's coming from external sources, but you need to ask yourself. First off, always question, where's this coming from? And check in and tune in, because there are a lot of people out there, they'll just let whatever come in, spirits and what have you, and never actually question. There's a lot of blind belief, following. I'm going to say that James and I were having this conversation. We would probably do another live this week as well. I really love our collaborations. That essentially, the real revelation is within you. This year, all the stuff you think you're going to see revealed out there is really what's going on in here. So yeah, it's going to be demonstrably outside you, because where attention goes, energy flows. And what's going on inside of you is always going to show up around you. The things that you focus on the most, if you have a negative mindset, you always find problems. And I'm going to say from personal experience, that was my old MO, because I was raised to solve problems. My mom was an amazing researcher. We grew up in libraries. We knew where to look for the answers and to fix things. Very resourceful all my life, even in the computer industry. People called me the resourceful one because I could find the solutions and I could find and fix the problems. So I was good at my job. And I never put in resumes. I actually was sought after because of this. It's actually a great quality, and I attribute that to my mom. Also with the languaging, choosing your words well, because you were casting your own spell. Love that. Letting anything and anybody tell you. Always tap into your own gnosis. This is the year of discernment. Can you honestly know without a doubt that it's true? The only way to know is to feel it. And I've spoken about this on so many other videos, but it really is a truth. You want truth? Feel into it. If it feels icky, trust it. If it makes you cringe, listen. You got 5 senses. And the biggest sense you got is your feeling sense. Breathing into whatever you're feeling is important. Trusting your intuition, that is what they don't want. You actually listening within. There's so much noise around you that this is the time. If you haven't been practicing, meditating, this is the time to find and carve out space for you to listen internally to you. Because with all that noise, you need solitude too. You need to be, and it's not going to be solitude. I'm just going to tell you right now. Your mind, if you're like me, you're just, what am I going to do for the day? What stands out the most? Like, I pay attention. Meditation is mental floss. It's clearing out the garbage pit of the mind. It's to make you aware of what's going on up in there. Because that is what's running the show, and you need to be conscious of it. So when you make the unconscious conscious, now you get awareness, and you won't get caught off guard by your own ego, your own crap. Because when you know yourself so well, you can spot it all around you. You spot it, you got it, like, It's humbling. It's humbling to see the things going on around you that truly are a part of you too. The things that you claim you dislike are part of you too. You wouldn't even see it if it wasn't. And we're all a part of each other. So shaming or blaming or pointing fingers is really just, again, 3 back at us. Daggers at our own hearts. This world we're living in right now is all about divisiveness. This is a true war. This is a battle for the mind, a battle for your soul. And it has been for several years. Not too many people want to hear that. They don't want to own that. No, that's not possible. There's rules, there's laws. Law, land, air, water. Wake up. This is man's world. You want to talk about the devil, it's actually us. And the ones in control we've allowed, because we have been creating our own imprisonment. And the funny part is, it's like getting the prisoners to build their fortified wall around themselves because they've been conditioned to the point where, well, I want more regulations. Yeah. That the school systems are designed after prison systems, which are designed by corporations, which and bankers. And when it really boils down to it, whoever you're not allowed to criticize, then that's probably who's in charge. So what's going on in the world is about discerning and unlearning the programming. This is a really vulnerable video, by the way, and what I'm about to share with you, I hope this stays up, was the dreams that I had last night. Because we are going to see things that aren't real. And you're not going to be able to tell the difference because of the realness that it appears. And that's why it's going to be so important to tap into what you feel. Having come from a military background, this is not surprising to me. Because I was in the Air Force, right? I worked in 3-letter agencies. And since I was a little girl, I've always been connected. Now, I hear about abductions, and I personally have my own thought around it not being really alien as much as inside job, right? Last night I dreamt of a portal. And it was really powerful. It was bright portal right in front of me. It was like seeing it right up over the water. A lot of people couldn't see it. I could see it. And the Space Force had established its base there nearby. And I was like, Space Force, okay. That's the new agency, right? I think it's part of the Air Force, most likely. I was like, huh. And then I was speaking with someone about what they were going to do or be. See, this was me seeing more souls. I was seeing the light being coming through the portal and deciding what role, what character they were going to play. I watched these 5 beings come through as I was having this conversation with this other being. And these 5 beings that passed by, I watched them go from light being into physical form. And they were in this raggedy kind of boy band that was like a gang. It was really bizarre. But it was to be influencers in a deceptive way. And I was like, isn't that interesting? But I was observing this throughout the dream. And they had been stating their details and were part of some mission to deceive. So there's different ways to see portals. Portals aren't always negative, but this is the world we're living in, and one of the conversations that James and I have been talking about. And this is a powerful one, that the dark is a copycat. There is nothing new under the sun. All the technology you're seeing has been around for a long time. They just reveal it. They roll it out as if it's their own, as if the military designed it, but it's always been there all along. And do you notice how unreliable it is, and that we're supposedly so advanced, but it's fallible because it's made by man? You know what's infallible? Just like in power versus force, your innate power, your intuition, your spidey sense. When you tap into this is the real source of power. All this technology gives the appearance of power. Sure, turn it off and then really see how dependent you are on it. I'm speaking from an IT background, so I totally get it. I'm over here on the device. A lot of us influencers are out here sharing our messages. We're connecting with people this way, and I am very grateful. I'm the one who told my mom, who said for years, I'm really concerned. My mom was concerned about technology from the start. My mom was very intuitive, and it comes from a long line. But I turned around and I said to my mom, but it's just like anything. This is a life of duality. There is, for every good, there's bad. So yeah, of course it can be used for the bad, and that it has. And on the contrary, it has also been used for the good. So it's a question of half empty, half full, and where your attention goes, how you focus it, that you're feeding it. What are you feeding? This is going to be the key, and I say this so humbly, from my heart of hearts. Whatever you desire, you need to feed that, not the fear of not having it. Don't use the negating motivation. Focus like a beam. So my spiritual name is Sundari Kiddinkar, who comes at you like I'm in your face. That's the translation of my own spiritual name. The beauty of God in your face, and you can't deny me, and you can't see anything but. And it's to be able to illuminate that in you has been the what I have lived, is that what I share is to empower you. That my experiences, my shit, is to show you you don't have to suffer for your greatness. In fact, that it is your birthright to be great, and that we all have to claim that. It is our birthright to have and to be playful. Play is the way. But a lot of people, as adults, they lost the way. Pun intended. We are the currency. We are the power. That our energy, we are the master manifestors. We are the way showers, people. If you're on this live stream, it's because you need to be reminded. You came here. You chose to be here at this time. I know I did. I've known ever since I was a little girl. And 3 years ago, when all this craziness started, I had my first Bufo experience. I had my first San Pedro experience, and I was like, whoa. My inner child got excited because for the first time, I got to actually see that everything I knew since I was a little girl was real and true. It wasn't even a question. That the universe showed me through those experiences, through my entire life. My entire life. There is no coincidence, people, that we are where we are. And we are meant to do what we're meant to do. Even if you're like, how? Don't think about the how. Just do. Just be. But slow down first. And as I say, stay before you go. Because your intuition, your presence, your essence is in the moment. If you're always on the run in the chronic stress, when you've got the grooves so deep in you to keep running from yourself, your body will force you to slow down at some point. That's the degeneration. Do you want to reverse the aging process? Slow down now. Breathe into the moment, because all of your ageisms will go away. That we really do, we can, we are the manifestors of turning back the clock. In fact, time is the real prison, right? And we have actually literally bought and paid into it with our hearts and souls. Indentured servitude, indentured slavery. The idea that we have to work to earn, to live on a planet. How freaking crazy. How many of you thought about that? I'm having to work and pay for living because I exist. That's crazy making in itself. No wonder there's so many mentally insane people, mentally unstable, because it just doesn't compute. And if you slow down long enough to think about it, it can make you go, wait a minute, what the hell? So this chronic stress, this constant go, it's an addiction. It's an addiction to the cortisol. It's an addiction to the hormones of stress. And when you are stressed, you're easier to control. The whole system has been set up for you to be the gerbil on the wheel and never know how to slow down and just be. hearing the birds outside. Most of the times it takes a crisis, a physical crisis, for us to recognize and wake up to our own health and well-being. That when we're not putting ourselves first, and then we're crying and complaining that somebody doesn't treat us a certain way, it's because we're not demonstrating it. We're not doing it to show them how we should be treated. If you're allowing someone to treat you like crap, it's probably because you don't know that you are worth more than that. Because the addiction is to the familiarity, not the health. And I've been there in all different forms across my life. Like, you know, chasing something that isn't yours, wanting to be with someone to prove that you're worthy, like, show me you love me by suffering. Like, love is not suffering. Love is not punishment. None of this crazy stuff you see in the movies, which are planting seeds, by the way, because movies aren't predictive. They're predictive in the sense they're trying to plant the seed in you to manifest. How many people watch movies and think, oh, that's just, you know, that's happening right now? No, they are trying to get you to, it's trying to be normalized, right? You see something enough times, you get numbed out to it. So it becomes normalized. Stockholm Syndrome. You defend it because, you know, it's just the way it is. And you start defending your abuser, the toxic relationships. And you don't know how to speak up or just stand up to them. That's where we're at right now in the world, as people don't know how to speak up for themselves. They don't know how to express themselves. And that's the real what's not right. It's easier for people to lash out at each other when in reality it's not each other. We're not the problem. It's what we've allowed in our cultures to literally let ourselves steep and permeate in this fermentation of culturing, of programming, of conditioning, of believing that someone's going to, you know, be my representative. Someone's going to think better for myself or be a better advocate for my health than myself. Really? I thought back to our family doctor when I was a kid, Dr. Madigan. I was always the exuberant, enthusiastic child. I'd go into the doctor and I'd be sick and it's like, hi. You know, and in the reality is I was taught by my mom, if you keep that up, you're going to make yourself sick. That's stuck. We are very suggestible. So, whatever you're feeding yourself through your five senses is suggesting to your cells and your being. You need to be more discerning because it all starts in the mind and it comes through the five senses. Which came first, the computer or the human? That is a question. I would almost gather that, you know, AI has been around a lot longer than we realize. That all this technology isn't new. None of this is new under the sun. It's like James and I were talking about. This is all copycat. The dark only knows how to copy. And after a while, it gets old. It's predictable. So we already know what's going to happen. We know they're going to fake some alien invasion. Let me go back to this dream thing. It's calling it out and not giving it your attention that's going to actually save us all. They want us to manifest and create it into physical form by the power of suggestion through movies, through constant dialogue and media. It's a form, hello people, it's a form of hypnosis. Media, telling, foretelling. They're trying to tell you what to tell, what to see. That's what govern over the mind is about, mind control. It's not that difficult to connect the dots, but the first is in waking up to the anger of realizing, holy crap, it's been going on all this time. Yeah, for generations. And chances are you're just the reincarnation of yourself again. And this isn't the first time we've been through this. I already know that. That was shown to me. I'm like, oh, we're going to do it right this time. That was the message I got. We came to get it right this time. God, source, each and every one of us is leveling up to a level we've never been to. The earth, everything is getting an upgrade during this period of however many years. Like, okay, when they start talking about history and they're like thousands of years, millions of years, I'm over here going, I call bunk. I call BS on all of it. Where are you coming up with these numbers? Where's your carbon dating? That's actually been debunked too. There's some really good guys out there you can watch and they show, you know, you can create stuff that looks like the carbon dating. The whole dinosaur thing is actually a made-up story too. They made it all up, people. Watch the stories around the book hunters. You know, when I was a child and going to Catholic school, there was this story that got implanted into me around how the ones who wrote the Bibles by hand, the friars, the I don't know, whoever it was, the friars, they had papyrus, okay? And if they were to change anything, they were supposed to letter by letter copy all of the dating and the material from the Bible by hand. Of course, they did have material to clean it. They didn't have whiteout back in those days, right? They couldn't start all over again because it was expensive, papyrus. And yet, people wrote by hand. Now, I was just watching this with 𝐴WAR, and I really appreciated that I stuck with him a long time because he did a great series around the whole mud floods in Tartaria. But then he did a 180 because he realized how that was used to also get people distracted. All of it's distraction, people, really, when it boils down to it. But our true history has been reset, and orphans have been indoctrinated. So we're the children of orphans, people. We don't know our history. It's been stolen from us and told to us. So with these book hunters, this is interesting. If you watch his videos, I'm just summarizing what I got from it. And it made a lot of sense. It resonated. This gets really interesting mafia-wise too, right? Like this has been going on for a long time. They basically would find the books. They find all these books. Like there was an inside job going on. They'd find these books and they knew how to clear all the words that were in the books. Basically whitewash the books and then write another story in the books. So with these stories, what's interesting, there were people that were written into history that didn't really even have any significance or prominence because these book hunters took the highest bidder, said, what do you want to be written into history about? How freaking crazy is that? Are you surprised? Think about it. Having your family lineage written into history as being prominent and significant. No different than all the blue blood line, you know, the royalty line. Everybody wants to be royal. No, you don't. There's some creepy shit going on up in there, and I think you figured that out. Something's not right. Nobody wants to be a part of that. Yeah. So what is being revealed? You got to feel that in you. The Mandela effect in history being changed right in front of us. It is profound, Mish. And me being a computer person, I've been watching the internet being scrubbed for years. And I knew there was a switch in the timelines. My sister was reading the Berenstain book, the Berenstain book, the Berenstain Bears book to my nephew the other night when she was here. And I know it was EIN, not AIN. Because I remember history. I grew up in libraries. I know. And of course, they can physically change the material. They have to be able to. But there are still remnants of the real truth. And it's to trip you up, to make you feel crazy. So it's really important that you stay really like, wow, I know my story. I know my life. I know my history. I never really liked school when I was a kid. I was good at it. I could do whatever, you know. I was in all the top stuff, honors, advanced placement, regents in New York. I went to 3 different high schools. To me, I went along thinking it was part of the whole thing. And then I ended up in the military and getting my degrees through the military on my own. You know, computer science degree, information systems technology, all that beautiful stuff. But in the end, it's all indoctrination, and I see it for what it is now. Certificates, putting letters after your name. I mean, look at how people gravitate. Oh, they are a doctor. Oh, they have these letters. That means they spent a lot of money, paid for some schooling, doesn't make them smarter. Where a lot of us, and because I was very blessed with a mother who was amazing and taught us how to research, I can see and connect dots. That's my gift. Researching? Oh, hell yeah. I know where to go in the library. People forget how to even cite sources. Most people are stealing sources these days or saying it's their own. Now, I get a lot of stuff from a lot of different people. I listen to all sorts of, and I love it. I love the amount of material and information that sparks my own inner wisdom. And really, that's what we're here to do. As if you've watched my videos, I talk about how we are unlocking each other's frequent keys. We are each ciphers for each other. We're here meant to unlock the code, not on our own. Humanity is humans in unity. There's not a single person who doesn't need another. We need each other. If I could impart any message, it's that, yeah, something's not right, but it's not us against us. It's calling out what's been the problem all along and holding accountability to those people that claim to have our best interest at heart and not letting them get away with it all the time. Rules for thee, but not for me. Making laws for the highest bidder in the lobby department. Corporations running the show. Really, when it boils down to it, it's all banks. You can look up that history. That's pretty simple. All wars are bankers' wars. And it's bullying, trying to exert power over. Colonizing. Hello, the Collins, the original colonizers. You don't hear that. Look at the names. Who were the original colonizers? Collins. Very common name. A lot of common names. If you actually listen, pay attention, look at your lineage, we all somehow traverse across a lot of this. Our family lineages do meet. It is what it is. But this colonization has gotten to such a degree, people want to act like one race was enslaved more than another, and the reality is we all are slaves to the system. Doesn't matter the color. Yep. Collins was Columbus and all that. All different names. They changed their names over the years. You gotta kind of blend. Gotta change your name, Look at the Rothschilds, how many names they changed. The truth is that it is coming out, but it has to start from within, because the real revelation is within you and owning your truth. I say this with humility of getting my 23 years worth of implants taken off my chest, lighten me up, like really waking up to the numbing out. How much? And I'm a freaking lion over here. I'm all heart. And of all the things I didn't even see that I was suppressing with my own heart and lungs with breast implants, hurting my own health. Whew, that was a humbling one right there. And I still have yet to take them out of the container. And that's a whole other, yeah. Seriously. Just like with me, this past year's been tough because not only did it break my heart open wider than I can't even imagine anybody going through what I've been through and live to tell in some ways. But it made me so tender, and I'm grateful for that. That after less than a month after my surgery, I had to put my dog to sleep, and that really broke my heart. And then all this craziness. Yeah. I have a lot of humility and a humbleness and really seeing the struggles of humanity. That even the vet attacking me because it was easier than owning, like, there's a lot of toxicity. There's a lot of toxicity in the world. You lose your dog and the vet doesn't even have the decency to say, I'm sorry, but proceeds to attack your character, attack your social media, which that's the lowest of the, as far as I'm concerned, that's the lowest of the lows, that you're just demonstrating that you're not there for the animal, that you weren't there for your clients, that it's all about that. You got to sleep with that. I don't. My heart will heal and I can forgive. I don't forget. That's my lion heart. I will hold you accountable because of how you've demonstrated yourself and shown your truth. And there's a lot of that going on right now, and it hurts when you see people say one thing, but their actions show a whole other thing. Trust it. It's gonna hurt. You're gonna feel it. But be kind on yourself because you didn't know better. And I'm gonna tell you, I would rather someone show me their truth and it hurt, because it only stings for a short period, than to live a lifetime of lies. So it saves us all a whole lot of suffering and struggle and fights if you just let things go. Release the things that aren't working, because in the end, it's your health at stake. And it might be a family member, and that's hard. You might have children with somebody. It might be your child. But you know what? When you let go, you let God, you let Source, you let universe take over, you'd be surprised how quickly people wake up to their own truth if you empower them through your claiming and reclaiming your power. That's where it all starts. When you reclaim your power, you empower others. You don't even see it right away. The stronger you can be in knowing yourself, it's the stronger you allow others to be in themselves too. Sometimes that tough love of no, it sucks to say it. Sometimes that tough love of walking away, and just every once in a while you're like wanting to reach out the phone and send that person. You know how many journals I have writing instead of calling someone? I've lost journals, thick books of my life. And it's okay. Everything goes away, but your cognition is more important. Your awareness, your health and your sanity is what is most important. This body knows. And I believe in turning back the clock. In fact, discarding it altogether. Chronos. Father Time. So let's go back to the story of the portal. I was sharing this with my girlfriend earlier, and she got chills. And I said, listen, I don't share these things very often. And it's not necessarily to be prophetic in the sense that I want to say this is what's going to happen. Just get a sense of it, so you're not caught off guard if something and when something happens. I can't tell you the exact date, but I can tell you this is a powerful month. And as they say, in like a lamb, out like a lion. We went in with a lion. We're not going out with a lamb. Okay. I was witnessing lights, and I can't explain it. It was dark. But lights in the sense of illumination, like sparks of light. It didn't look like lightning. It didn't look like zaps or attacks, but it was an orchestration. And it was being done on the Capitol building in the stream. And this was staged. And I knew this watching it. I knew it was staged because of what I saw and could see through and what I felt. This is a dream. It was an interesting show of lights and explosions of light to give the appearance of something it wasn't, to make people afraid. Why would you be afraid? If you watch something on TV, how much of that's real? Like, all the world's a stage. If you were there physically and saw it, that's a whole nother story. But it's just like they say, if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? A lot of what we see on the televisions, is all to program you to think you leave in, so that you yourself will continue to tell the story that also upholds the narrative, which keeps them relevant. I've said for quite a few years now, it's not choosing this or that. It's not fighting against or for. It's when you disengage and you stop giving your energy entirely. When you stop giving attention, everything falls like the house of cards. Healing comes from within, and feeling is revealing what is coming. Trust. I take for granted that I was only on birth control when I was young, in my teens, and then on 2 rounds of Depo-Provera when I was in the Air Force. And I tell you what, getting off of any dependency of any pharmaceutical, I take that for granted. Yes, we got Motrin. We used to call it vitamin M. So bad for the liver, by the way, causing all sorts of jaundice and issues. And I went through the rounds of, antibiotics and sulfa medications because of UTIs and acne and all this stuff. Never knew that it could be my diet or things like that, because back then they didn't talk about that stuff. In fact, that was the least talked about. In fact, it wasn't until 2010. Actually, my mom knew before I left Italy. She was sending me stuff about celiac and gluten insensitive. It's known in Italy. They pay a subsidy to their people who are allergic to gluten, people. We really shouldn't be consuming grains. Grain brain, wheat belly. It's worse than crack and cocaine. It's addictive, and people are not realizing sugar and grains. And it's the brain entrainment. So anyway, I just lost my train of thought. That's funny. That was a little cosmic joke on myself. How crazy is that? We need to listen to our bodies when it really boils down to it. Listen to what you intuitively feel drawn, and what is your body really craving? Stop listening to the mind that says, well, you should want this. You should eat that because it's sustainable, healthy for the environment. These are all buzzwords. These are all trendy. We're not saving anything by following the trends. Most of the issues with our gut are because of the chemicals that were used on the earth, like the glyphosate, that have permeated the gut brain blood barrier. Not cool. I grew up in Maine. Potato farms were sprayed. We were out in the fields. We didn't know they were spraying glyphosate over our heads. How fucked up is that shit? We're getting poisoned from the top down and the bottom up. We're getting force medicated with fluoride in our water, chlorine too, ammonia, to cover the smells. I didn't ask for that. I don't need that. I didn't ask for my raw produce. I want real food. I don't want somebody to denature or we're doing it for your own good. No, you're doing it for a handout. It's called greasing the palms. If you had to have a farm, you'd learn real quickly. There's a lot of work that goes into farming. There's a lot of work that goes into having gardens and plants, and that's a whole other lifestyle. I know a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to just go off grid and I'm going to live this life. Really? It's a hard life. Stay before you go. Slow down. First, assess what is important to you in your relationships and those around you. Because it's really important, because everything in life is about relationships. So your relationship to yourself is the most important. It took how many times for me to go through these rebirths to come to this point in my life where I'm really happy with all the choices I've made. There are no mistakes, just choices. I have no regrets, none. I have nothing to explain to anybody, to excuse myself of, to feel bad or shame. We should not be doing that to ourselves, let alone anybody else. And when we see someone doing something, it's humbling. We want to help. We want to fix. Why? Because maybe we would have wanted that for ourselves. Maybe we needed that at a point in our lives, but were we open to receiving it is always the question. If you see someone struggling, always ask. First ask, are you open to feedback? Are you willing to receive some reflective observation? Or do you need help? Do you need an ear? Someone to listen? There are times you will encounter people who will tell the same stories. Holding space is not for the weak. Listening and holding space for others is a skill and an art in itself. It took me a long time to be able to be that person. Cultivating it in yoga teacher trainings and always holding the space in sacred ceremonies of whether it was medicinal plant ceremonies or just with other people. It's humbling to have your own ish handed back to you, like noticing where we all do it. Sometimes we just get so caught up in our own stuff, we don't even see, we unload on people who don't deserve it, that we're spewing our toxic poison on others. And sometimes we are the waste garbage of it, right? We're the receivers of it. It's a setting a sound boundary, being clear. It is humbling, and it hurts when someone says, I love you. I know you're going through something tough. I hear you. But right now I'm very tender too. And I've had that handed to me a couple times, and from certain people that I highly adore and respect. And when it has happened, it felt like a heart, like not that they were tender and I was tender and I was in my Leo drama. And I have to own that, because that's a part of me. That's a part of me that I constantly work to tame, my inner lion, my inner. And I'm always humbled that a friend can be so trusting in me to remind me too that sometimes I'm a little too much. That's a true friend. And sometimes we have to do that for one another. And we have to honor and appreciate the guts and the courage it takes for someone to speak the truth we need to hear, to hold us accountable. That's what coaches are for. That's what mentors are for. A lot of people don't want to pay for that stuff, but reality is who do you have in your life that you know will hold you accountable and keep you accountable and responsible along your journey? I have people like that in my life, thankfully. I have myself in a lot of ways. But we need that extra too. We are the sum of the 5 people we hang out with the most. So pay attention to the people you are allowing into your space, because they're creating the energetic expression of your essence. Are they supporting and uplifting you, or are they sucking you dry? And I've been on the receiving of both. Most of the time not realizing that I've been the uplifter, but wasn't being held up to hold the others. And that has been a big teacher for me. Again, physically, it's shown up. We all have to have that. And this year, again, discernment, going back to the dream. All of it was orchestrated for fear porn. All of it's to harvest and harness your energy. Oops. All of it's to harness your energy, because your fear is the most expensive currency there is. That is how they manipulate. That is how they hold control. The more people that buy into the fear, the lies, false evidence appearing real, the longer, the harder the hold they wield, the puppet masters, as you may call them, whatever you want to call them. Just don't call them the L-ites. You know why? Because we are. We're the original elites. And we've been stripped of our own dignity, our own lineage, our own royalty. When it comes down to it, you are royal. You are of royal blood. The Christ line. Children of God. Of course they will. Because everybody wants to let someone else take the side. I don't want that, you know? That's a lot of responsibility. You see how easily led people can be because they can't choose for themselves. That's the blind, you know, that's that giving in, the idolatry, right? The funny part being, not really so funny, is it's in all of this, we have allowed man to write the rules, overwriting the gnosis, the God, the Essenes, the original universal law. And again, law is land, air, water, and sea. Laws, water. That's all. Firmament, the waters above, the waters below. Whatever is truth, that's the most important thing, is what you feel about you. Because there's all these, you call them what you want, conspiracies, there's a lot of theories, there's a lot of truth in a lot of that. And a lot of lies dispersed and they do that on purpose. So it keeps you tripped up and you don't know what to trust. And that's where I go back to, when you trust and you know thyself so well, it won't trip you up. 2 years ago, I remember, and about 2 years ago, I remember a lot of the memes out there, and some of it would catch me and I'd get angered and I'd react or I'd share it and then later go, caught me. There was something about it that wasn't quite right. It caught me on my emotions. Because when we're emotional, fear, we become irrational. We make the poorest choices when we are emotional. Think about it. You probably lost more money because of the fact that you got angry and you made poor choices as a result. Yeah. So when you're emotional, always remember to take your deep breaths, settle it down. Don't make choices when you're in that fear-based, emotional, agitated state, because those are the worst choices you'll ever make. Those rash choices and decisions you make are the ones that come back to bite you on the ass, aren't they? I know. Been there, done that. I can only speak from my personal experience, and God knows I got a lot of them. I got bit on the ass quite a few times. And I feel like every lesson I've learned was so that if I've experienced it, I can also understand when other people have experienced it. So, you know, being the victim of a narcissist, for example, I know exactly how you get so deep into it that people are like, how did you not see that? How did you get stuck in it? Because they're very clever and very conniving. And you get into it to the degree that you're like, you're questioning your own sanity of, how did I get here? I'm much smarter than this. Even if you see it all for what it is, then trying to get out of it, you cannot talk it out with them. You got to call in a third party because you need a witness so they don't pull their clever stunts to try to entangle and keep you in that dance, because it's all about control with them and it's all manipulation. They will try to exhaust you. And they're very clever. But if you're smart enough, you will ask for help. That's the only way you'll ever get out of it if you're someone in a toxic relationship. But never let fear dictate. You got to find the courage within, because that's your heart, baby. I'm speaking from my lioness heart here. Yeah. I really appreciate all of you who have held out this long in this crazy me sharing who I am. Ever since I was a little girl, I've always known. I've always felt something wasn't right. I got in trouble for asking questions in religion class, because in the Bible, there's all sorts of references where God said, don't worship me within four walls. Nature was my connection to source, was my connection to God. I didn't need an intermediary. I didn't need man. And none of it made sense. Can't make sense out of nonsense. You got 5 senses. Those are the ones that tell you everything you need to know. You learn to trust the senses. Then you learn to trust your intuition, because that's your spidey, your feeling. If you are going to channel, you want to feel spirit, you need to be present in that. Don't let anything into your space, your energy, without asking it first. Where is this originating? Is this good medicine? Is this for my highest good? There's a lot of people let entities, spirits just come on in. Come on in. I want to be this. I want to be put on the show. And then and I'm like, wow, we're way too trusting sometimes, us humans, because we've been indoctrinated into religions of trusting the unknown. This is the era where the known is within you. I'm not 6'8", but I love that. 6'8", that's clever. No, I'm only like 5'5". I'm rather tall for my short, yeah. Yes. You know what's been talked about a lot lately is the caduceus. That we are, as humans, are eating our own tails. We are the creators of our own suffering. Okay, this must be like those, what do you call them? Bots and stuff. Whatever. Enjoy. But I appreciate you because the algorithm loves it too. Bizarre. They might be from my dream. You never know. The portal. And that was a conversation I was having with a girlfriend today. I said, she asked me, what do you see this year? I said, what I see is a lot of people hitting their breaking point. And when you hit your breaking point, you finally realize enough's enough. And that the reality is that you know. Nobody has to tell you. Truth is felt. That's why the kinesiology is used. Power versus force. Okay, I need moderators, apparently. I need moderators. How do I do that? Put user in a timeout. There you go. Timeouts. I love that. It's like my inner child's having fun putting you in the timeout, honey. But you can hang out if you want. No, you're cute. Oh, you're so funny. Yeah, no, I'm not eating your taco, dude. That's funny. You are so funny. Aren't you clever? Thinking you're so smart. This is the universe likes to play that way too, by the way. Always remember that in all forms of attention, it is what you feed it, because what you consume consumes you. Again, that's the caduceus. This year, you're going to find more people waking up from the inside out. Yeah, you're going to see the stuff outside of you. People are going to be really upset because they're going to be, well, I knew something felt wrong, but now I can't deny it. And when you can't deny it any longer, it's finally like you know what? I'm going to make you a moderator, James. I'm going to add you as a moderator. Yeah, there you go. So if somebody does, you know how to. You're my Merlin, my magician. We can have an interesting conversation about that later. Mushrooms always tell me stories. Let me tell you that right now. The mushrooms are the greatest teacher, and I'm going to say it for those who didn't already hear it in the beginning of my story. The Bible spoke of Eve eating the fruit from the tree, the forbidden knowledge. It wasn't the apple. It was the mushroom, people. Because the mushroom reveals your true soul being, your true nature. And you have access to that all the time. Like it reveals all of your nature. Some of it not so pretty. So you always have to be mindful and reverent when you consume any form of plant medicine. It is not for everyone. It is not for the faint of heart. I don't recommend it to just anybody. And you should definitely do it with somebody you feel safe with, that can hold the space and knows you well. I realized I was thirsty. Wow. I've been on here for a little bit, haven't I? It's been a really interesting day. I woke up from that dream and I was like, whoa. My mother has shown up to me all week in my dreams. In various ways. Rather interesting. But to me, dreams aren't fearful. I find them very prophetic, very telling. And then when I sit in my meditation, more stuff comes up because the dreams are just a sense. And to me, that could be the waking life. You never know. Could be another life, could be another reality. This could be the dream. I'm always curious and always willing to open to whatever possibility exists. Yeah. Us humans, we're here to have fun and have experiences, and we have kind of screwed that up a little bit, haven't we? Got a little out of hand. I mean, look at the state of the world. Like, I mean, for what they're showing us, but look in your actual community. How connected are you? Do you know your neighbors? Do you know what's going on in your district, your precinct, your county, your city, your state? Like, most people are so checked out because they're so in the stress response, trying to survive. And that's by design. Again, I said that at the beginning. Everything is to keep you on the hamster wheel because the addictive nature to the hormones of stress, they wear you down. They cause you to age. They make you more manipulative, more suggestible because you're in such that, I'm just trying to get by. Like anything, throw me a bone. We're in our own enslavement. We created this mess. It's up to us to undo it too. Not expect some other entity or being to come in and save the day. Like, that's religious taught, isn't it? That somebody's gonna, it's religious, it's financial. I mean, it's the top three of the core of all the greed. It's the idea that a politician's gonna save the day, really? They're all part of it. They're all part of the problem because they need to be relevant. They got you hook, line, and sinker, thinking they're representing you. You're sitting back expecting something, and then again, the definition of crazy is allowing them to continue to do the same thing over and over again. Rules for thee and not for me. We don't see any, but the government can't and does not indict or punish their own. I mean, come on. They all get off. Haven't you figured it out? It's a boys' club and you aren't part of it. You know, George Carlin said it best. He was one of the best. Him and Robin Williams, my favorites. And then you also had Richard Pryor. It's all about discrediting those who speak truth. Yeah. Again, it's an inside job, and that's something James and I have talked about. And we will talk about it a lot more next week when we get a chance, because I love our little dabadoos. Because we are here to unlock each other's keys, and the frequency needs to be elevated. In order to get out of this mess, we need to stop playing into it. Stop playing the victim of it. because we're not victims. We choose. We have chosen this. Oh, my chrism starts tomorrow afternoon. You figured it out for me? It's based on the moon. So we're in Leo moon right now. Is that true? Did you figure that out for me, Mish? Oh, I appreciate it if that's the case. That means I should fast. That's some juicy stuff. I got some really powerful things finally taking shape. Like Mars went direct this week. I see what's going on around me, and I Cancer moon now. Oh no, it's actually Leo, honey. I'm pretty sure it's Leo. We have a lot of craziness in the world, but that doesn't mean so like I use Astrodyst. I always look at my astro weather. I'm pretty sure I heard Leo because wait a minute. I could be wrong. So I'm just checking because I want to be right. I don't want to be messing that up. Mundane. Here we go. I always check my daily and I'm not up and up on all of it. I just know what I feel. I thought we just changed it yesterday. So if it's tomorrow. Yeah, the moon entered Leo yesterday at 10:16 a.m. and it ends on the 5th of March at 10:39 p.m. This is Eastern Standard Time. Today is the 4th, so that means tomorrow evening it will switch from Leo to Virgo. When the moon is in your sun sign. So right now is when it is. That would be my chrism, which would explain all of my crazy dreams, especially the portal dream, right? Because I get those messages all the time. That's just one that I'm sharing. It's not something I like to go broadcasting out to the world because, you know, it is my life. And you should also hold certain things sacred. I'm not trying to draw attention for stuff like that. The biodynamic moon calendar for planning. Oh, that's awesome. So the full moon is supposed to be in Virgo, coming up on the 7th, which is Tuesday. And I'm excited because I got the caterpillars. I got not caterpillars, I'm sorry. I got ladybugs. I love ladybugs. They eat fleas. Did you know that? I got a big package of ladybugs. I think something like 9,000? 9 or 10,000. Yeah, this has been a long video. I really appreciate those of you who have stuck around this long and all. No sex, no alcohol. That's easy for me. I've been celibate for over since 2018. So yeah, we're over 5 years now. This isn't the first time I've done a long stint like that either. Because this body's sacred, and I ain't wasting it with just anybody. Because I know, and he'll know. I can't say for certain, but I feel it coming. No pun intended. Hey, Pamela, how are you, gorgeous? Love your dolphin energy. Got my Larimar on. That's always my dolphin energy. Yeah. In fact, the dolphins have been showing up this week too, which is really sweet. Watching them go and play out there in the water. Yep, it's an interesting time. Just remember, remember that whatever you're seeing outside of yourself is an opportunity to go within and go, okay, what is going on without me? You know what? There's a whole thing with the notifications. I am so not surprised. Something really weird's going on with my channel, and I don't know that I don't have someone stalking and reporting, because this day and age, it seems that everybody who can harass is doing their thing. And I don't want to give it that energy, but after what I told the story about me disputing with the vet and all that, I mean, it's very clear to me, connecting the dots. That's why I lost my Facebook and my Instagram. And she made an attempt to report my Pinterest of all of my social media, my Pinterest, which has 1,700 followers. And all I do on there is share like all sorts of, you know, stuff that's my old blogs, fashion ideas, house stuff because that's where I get my renovation ideas and things like that. And I was like, wow, okay, community standards, now I got it. And it was right after I had submitted the dispute with Care Credit regarding the charges. And then I connected the dots and I looked at her letter and how she pointed out that yeah, it's not even just the hormones. What that is the toxicity of her own internal hate spewing. See, what happens is when we're so toxic toward ourselves, it just spills over. So I have that compassion to recognize if someone's coming at you with hate and anger, that's like real toxic inside. She had said in the letter that back in, the notification stuff has not been working right. They're changing algorithms big time. She said that my lawyer had told me back in September, which is right before my accounts got disabled, that I didn't have a case against her. So her arrogance in that letter is what clued me on to the irony of Pinterest. And then I connected the dots and went, I had no idea. There's a lot of trolls out. It is the energies. I had to put some timeouts. In fact, Pamela, I'm going to make you a moderator too. I should do that. Mish, would you like to be a moderator as well? I can make you a moderator because I appreciate and I trust you. There you go. If you would like to be a moderator, please let me know. I will make you a moderator. Pamela, I can trust you because I've seen you across everybody's channel. And you get, yeah, it's all good. It doesn't bother me. I put them in timeouts. Right now we're good. I put Pamela and James are my moderators right now. So I don't feel like it needs to be moderated because in the grand scheme of things, their inner child is saying, I want attention. And this is the only way I know how to do it. And so I'm like, I see you. Put you in timeout. I play with that. You want attention? There you go. My inner child's having fun with that. Have fun in timeout. Yeah, right. So anyway, I love you all. Thank you again. I've said it enough times, but thank you for sticking it out this long. And let me know in the comments when this is over, not in the chat, but let me know in the comments what stood out. And if you want me to talk more about stuff like this in the future, I will be coming up with a body work. Yeah, whack-a-mole. Yeah, it's fun. In the future, I have a body awareness workshop that I'm going to put into digital form. So if you're interested in something like that, yeah. Thank you, Mish. I appreciate you. Sending you lots of love. Huggies to all of you, because in the grand scheme of things, this lion wants everybody's hearts to be filled, happy, and whole. Like, healthy am I, happy am I, holy am I? Because you want to be not H-O-L-Y. You want to be W-H-O-L-E-L-Y. Claim everything about yourself without shame. You know what you do with shame? Show at the door. There is no room for shame in this world anymore. That is the old paradigm, the disempowerment. It's time to re-empower, reclaim yourself. Power is within. You want to know? Feel into it. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Mwah! Mwah! Mwah!